I married and had kids with an obscenely obese woman, and I regret it every day of my life. Hi, I'm Rachel, and welcome to Snacks and Scandals, where snacks meet Reddit story scandals. Today's episode theme has to do with choices that we regret. And to go along with our theme, we have a candy that some people might regret eating, and that happens to be licorice. I know this is not a well-liked treat for many, but I personally love licorice, and I discovered that there is such a thing as salted licorice, particularly black. We do have some other colors here. These are a European treat, and so I've never tried these, and I'm looking forward to it. This one came with a little note that says it's from Finland. And then this one is a classic Scandinavian candy. So I'm looking forward to trying these, but before we try these, we're gonna get into our first story. I married and had kids with an obscenely obese woman, and I regret it every day of my life. So I, 31-year-old male, met my wife, 25-year-old female, through a toxic ex of mine who was her best friend, which is always a great start to any relationship. She's always been an SBBW at 500 plus pounds, so starting off, I was honestly just trying to hit it and quit it. But I lacked the backbone to even do that properly. We quickly moved in together despite me living with my parents, and from there, got pregnant, got into a fight with my alcoholic dad, got arrested, we got evicted, couch surfed for a few months, landed a good job, moved into an extended stay hotel, and had my first child, a girl. Lost the job, alcoholic dad died, and that's not even the first year. It's now been almost 4 years together, and it's just been hell from day one. Between the absolute crap for circumstances we'd been given and started off the relationship in, to just every fight we have over money or how much affection is being given and taken. Then there is the fact that she's got borderline personality disorder. Eating disorders, is on SSI for disability due to physical problems from her size. I have bipolar depression, anxiety, etc. So it's just a mess all around. There's just so many issues going on to unravel, and it's honestly better for everyone's sake that we finally completely end it. But she's a very attached person, and I'm just cowardly. I'm miserable, and I'll probably continue to be this way for the rest of my life. Edit. I'd like to state for the record that I'm well aware of my flaws, and I'm in no way a saint in this scenario. I am trying to work on my issues as well as learn to communicate better with my wife about our problems. I'm simply here to vent my frustrations to a subreddit specifically for that purpose. I would say you need some therapy. You need some couples counseling on how to communicate better and get your problems out on the table. Don't just decide, oh, I'm having this issue, I want to end it. Why not give it a try? Unless you absolutely don't love this woman, then yeah, maybe it is better to set her free. So let's read some comments. I think I've seen this on an episode on TV, My 500-Pound Life on TLC. Yeah, maybe. She's got borderline personality disorder. I have bipolar disorder. That alone sounds like hell to me. I have friends who are a couple that both have multiple mental illnesses, including BPD, that are absolutely wonderful together. They go to therapy together and individually and are very supportive of one another. However, they met after they'd both gone through a long individual journey to reach a point of relative stability on their own. My point here is just that it is possible, but only if both parties have made individual efforts to heal, get a solid treatment plan or routine before attempting to add stress of relationship, which unfortunately is not usually the case. Yeah, I agree with that poster. You need to work on yourself and maybe also as a couple, because maybe there's some worth in salvaging this. I mean, the problems don't sound too out of the ordinary that they couldn't be fixed or worked on. So unless both parties are done, maybe ask her where she's at in the relationship and if she wants to keep it going. Another commenter suggested getting a vasectomy. That could be an option, but maybe he wants to have children with somebody else if he decides to follow through with ending the marriage. Break up for your kids' sake. I mean this respectfully. That's true. Kids are very aware. They're not so closed off to what is going on in the household. I know when I was growing up, I definitely had a feeling when there was contention in the household. And so kids are not dumb. They're very well aware. Maybe not of the specifics, but they know that there are problems brewing. Ding, my parents' divorce didn't go smoothly, but with the benefit of hindsight, I can safely say divorcing because you're in an unhappy marriage would be for the better in the long term. Granted, the parents can act maturely towards and about each other when their kids are around. These people need counseling one way or another to know how to cope with their own issues and why they chose the person that they chose and why they choose to make the decisions that they make before getting into a new relationship. I say it's at least when there's kids involved, at least try to work on it. Let's read one more comment. One person writes, the daughter is the only victim in this despite OP's tone. This poor girl has two parents with untreated mental illness who take their frustrations out on each other and likely her as well. It genuinely breaks my heart. So overall, there's kids involved. Maybe get some individual therapy for your sake and ask your wife if she wants to work on it, and then go from there with possible couples counseling or separate. So now that we've read our first story, let's get into our salted licorice. This is Got and Blandet salt. It kind of looks good. So let's go ahead and start with this one first. And I can't read any of the labels on the back, so I have no idea what's going on. We do have some different colors in here. I do not know what these are. I'm just going to guess these are something having to do with the ocean maybe, but let's try one of these first. Oh yeah, salt. Right up front, salt. That is weird. That is very weird. It's a lot of salt, and it seems like it's all throughout the candy. I'm not really getting anything else other than salt. I can't even tell if there's a flavor in there, but I don't love that one. Why? Let's try this one. It looks like it should be black licorice, so let's see if it is like black licorice. Wow. That one is very tough, very chewy, very salty, but I am getting the black licorice coming through. It's kind of a relief because the salt is very strong. That one's not so bad. I could eat this other half because I do get the black licorice, but the salt is still there. It's like the salt is mixed in all throughout the candy. Let me try this one. Wow, that one is really chewy, like stick to your teeth chewy. And very light flavor of black licorice, but these ones are very interesting. I will say that. So we're going to hold off on tasting these ones until after the next story. Okay, let's go on to our second story, shall we? My wife manipulated me to open our marriage and sleep with her coworker. She did and kept taking it too far, so I ended things. This comes from the subreddit Infidelity. Look at my page for more of a background on my situation. To give everyone a quick background, I found my wife sexting a coworker. She ended up telling me that she wanted to meet with him and have sex. I agreed to even try to accept it. They met up a few weekends ago and then met up again this last weekend. I tried to like it. I tried to be happy for her and I tried to make her happy. She just kept showing that she really didn't care for me. First of all, she would not let me set boundaries for them. I told them I wasn't comfortable with things and that they needed to stop or at least put a few boundaries in. She refused, saying that it wasn't for me to say what they can or can't do. This past weekend is what really did it for me. She left Saturday morning without showing a care for me in the world. She made me take pictures of her to send to the guy before she left. She left without even giving me a kiss. At first, she explained that she would be back that night. Nighttime came and she was nowhere to be seen. The next morning, she tells me that she decided to stay the night with him without even asking or telling me first. And that's not even the worst part. That night, he invited over one of his friends and she messed around with both of them. She didn't even care to ask me about it first. When she arrived back at the house, she told me all of this stuff. I started to get visibly upset. She laughed and said, "Get over it, and it's not manly." I couldn't put up with it anymore. She obviously no longer cared for me. No spouse would say anything like this to their partner if they actually cared for them. I was shocked. At no point in our marriage until the other week did I notice any signs that she would be this way. She had always been the most loving, caring girl that I had ever met. It's like a switch flipped and she met the guy and she changed into a different person. I didn't know one person could change someone that much and that quickly. I'm 99% sure that she is going to end up dating this guy. She has spent the past few weekends together with him and even talks about him around me. The other night, I told her that if she doesn't at least put in boundaries, that I will leave. She said, "Okay," and laughed a lot. Without saying another word, I packed up some bags and booked a room at the nearest hotel. I told my brother about this situation and he has offered for me to come stay with him for a little while. I ended up going to his place for the night. She sent me some texts that night and the next day. She was acting upset and confused as to why I left, and she was saying that she missed me. The next day, I knew we needed to go back to my house so that there wouldn't be as much of a chance that I would lose it. My brother went with me to help. When we got there, my wife was trying to talk to me. I had nothing to say to her at the moment, so I just ignored her and tried to get past her. She was grabbing me and trying to hold me. My brother helped get her off of me and told her that he would call the cops if she didn't stop messing with me. She ended up leaving. I haven't heard from her since. The situation has destroyed me. I tried to let her do this to make her happy. I didn't want it in the first place, but I tried to make myself like it to please her. I never saw any signs or anything that she would be this manipulative and this bad of a person before we got married. I don't know where any of this came from. She was the most amazing, thoughtful person ever. Now that this has happened, my whole outlook on life and relationships is different. So what advice would you guys give me? Whether it's next steps in dealing with my current wife or in the future when I'm back in the dating game. How do I tell our families and friends? How do I speak to my wife about it? I'm having a really tough time handling all of this. First of all, I don't think that family and friends need to know anything, if at all, right away. You are getting your bearings as to what has been happening in your relationship, and you really need to take a look at yourself and ask yourself why you would have allowed this to happen. And why your wife, you said more than once that your wife is not this type of person. She's really caring and sweet. Was there any conversation about why she would want to do this? And if so, what has changed in the relationship, or maybe her outlook on relationships, to why she would want to step out of the marriage? So let's read some comments. I have no way to say this without coming across as beating you up, but what the F? She's cheating and your response is to give your blessing. Forget the marriage, divorce, get some personal counseling. Yes, you definitely need to get some counseling. The OP actually responded, I understand how that can be seen as odd. At that point, I just didn't want to lose her and was also just confused. I tried to go along with it for as long as I could. But why? As my 3-year-old niece always asks, but why? Why would you try to go along with something like this? It's going to destroy your self-esteem. I would think it would destroy mine. I am confused. Clearly it bothered you that she wanted an open-ended free pass to cheat and you agreed. Clearly your gut was telling you no and that it crossed your boundaries and you allowed her to do this. She has proven to you that she is a total narcissist who has no concern for your boundaries, feelings, or needs. The only lesson for you is when someone wants you to be okay with her cheating. You end the relationship. It's not about you and what you lack. It's about her and her own selfish cruelty. Reading through the replies and what's going on, it's going to be tough because obviously you love her. Her love for you has, for whatever reason, left. So reciprocate and leave the marriage. As others have said, get some counseling and begin the process of making yourself healthy for the future. Good luck. Yeah, just tell your family and friends that it didn't work out. You don't need to give them the details. They don't need to have details. And honestly, they probably in the long run won't even care about the knowing what the details are. Just as long as you're doing well as a person and you're healthy and happy, that is probably what will matter most to them. Another commenter writes, you need to get an attorney. Have your brother inform your ex that all communication must be through your attorney or your brother, and that you have no intent of ever seeing or talking to her again as long as you live. Man up and move on. No way to put it lightly. Relationships are about trust and respect. If you agreed upon an open marriage, that's fine and all, but with it should come some boundaries. It is a privilege, not a right. If she laughs in your face, you should have revoked that privilege, and if she refuses, then peace out, right? And somebody asked if the OP has spoken to a lawyer yet, and he responded, yes, he did, but didn't give any further details about speaking to the lawyer. One last comment. Bro, get some self-respect and move on. She literally asked you for a free pass to cheat and you said yes. Come on, dude. Yeah, the OP's self-esteem is so low for anybody to allow that to happen. I mean, they're just so desperate that they don't want to lose their significant other. They would allow them to do this, but big picture, you know it's just not going to work out. It's just not. So with that, let's move on to our second bag of Nordic Sweets Salmiak sticks. It almost looks like there's pretzels in the middle of this, so let me open this up. Woo, the flavor, the scent is very strong. It almost has a coffee scent to it. They feel very soft. And in the center, they're not pretzels, even though the center looks brown to me. I don't know if you can tell on camera, but it has a brown hue to it. So let me dive in. There you can see the center is a light brown. Okay. So unlike the first ones, the salt doesn't smack you in the face right up front, but it is there. It's not overpowering though. Is it good? I'm not sure. Does it work well? It works better in this candy than the first one. I don't know what the middle is at all. The ingredients says it has molasses in it. So maybe that's supposed to be a molasses flavor. I would say that the black licorice flavor is there, but it's not as strong as I would like. I don't know. It's not terrible, but would I buy it again? We'll have to wait and see. So let's move on to our third story. My wife, 36-year-old female, resents her affair child. This comes from the subreddit Infidelity. Despite reading plenty of experiences here on Reddit, I believe my situation is unique. My wife and I have been together for 17 years, married for 15. We have the same age. About 3 years into our marriage, she began an affair. By the time I discovered it, 6 years had passed. When confronted, she promised to end it and work on our marriage. I started packing my things the second the paternity test for the youngest came back negative. I was practically leaving, but deep in my heart, I felt bad about leaving. I've always viewed cheating as point of no return for a marriage, but I found myself still in love with her in spite of it all, and I didn't want to leave the kids. Therapy was very essential in our reconciliation. It helped me confront the anger and pain while also recognizing where I had neglected our relationship. While my wife didn't blame me for the affair, I came to understand that I had failed to provide the attention and care she needed at times. I had glimpses of our relationship and remembered at times I was a bad husband, and there were many. With both of us on the same page and committed to rebuilding our marriage, I decided to adopt the child and raise him as my own. Her affair was very difficult to end, not because she had an emotional attachment to the affair partner, she really didn't, but because the guy was very problematic. I won't go into details, but the situation complicated to a point where we had to put a restraining order against him. The guy was crazy. Fast forward a few years and things are mostly great. We've been genuinely happy and we even have another child. Now we've got a fourth on the way. My wife asked me to monitor her phone occasionally as a way to rebuild trust, which I agreed to. It has helped us both feel more secure. But there's one thing that isn't working, her relationship with the child from the affair. At first I thought she was just distracted by our youngest, but over time it became obvious that she barely interacts with him. She doesn't show much interest, rarely spends one-on-one time with him, and sometimes seems to go out of her way to avoid him. He might have caught up on because he came to me in tears saying, "Mommy hates me." She wasn't like that with him before. But the breaking point came a few days ago. She asked me out of the blue if I'd ever consider putting him up for adoption. When I confronted her about it, she admitted that she struggles to bond with him because he reminds her of her past and the guy she cheated with. I don't know what to do. I've forgiven her for the affair, and I've tried to move on. But seeing the way she treats him is hard to take. He's just a kid. He didn't ask for any of this. I love him like my own, but I don't know how to fix this or how to protect him from feeling like an outsider in his own family. This is so sad. So sad. I can kind of understand where the wife is coming from. She has such immense guilt over her affair, probably, that it's all being focused on the child, unfortunately, and he's completely innocent in this whole thing. She definitely needs therapy. A lot of the people in these stories need therapy, but she needs to learn how to differentiate and maybe compartmentalize her relationship with the child is completely different from what happened in her past and go from there. And I think that this father sounds like a wonderful human being, has forgiven her and worked on and went to therapy with her to get through this and wants the best for this child, that I hope he can suggest her getting her own sort of therapy. So let's read some comments. Wow, you are married to a terrible person. She already had a 6-year phase when she was cheating. Now this? How long does someone have to act terribly until you say, you know, I think that they're a terrible person? At a certain point, you've got to accept some people are pond scum. Yeah, that's true. Cheating is rooted in selfishness and a person's ability to justify their selfish actions. Your wife continues to MO here. She is responsible for bringing this child into the world, and yet she selfishly justifies punishing this kid because he reminds her of her mistake. She needs to grow up, own her mistake and her child. See, this situation is bigger than just her and her feelings, and do the right thing and treat her child with the love he deserves. It's too bad that he's an inconvenient reminder of her selfishness. Right. Yeah, many people are saying that this is just really sad to read. Somebody else writes, she is an absolute crap person for holding her affair baby responsible for her affair. Yeah, maybe she kind of is holding the child responsible because she's directing all of her anger on the kid when in fact she needs to direct it on herself and what she did. She needs help. She needs some big help. A couple more comments reads, you must take over. You must give him hugs, love, and guidance. You must play with him, teach him sports and the arts. You must go to his games and recitals. You must be the one he trusts. I was a single dad, absolutely loved getting the Mother's Day cards and everything else. You can do it. Right. I think that's important, that this child knows he has at least one reliable person to count on and to trust. And that's great advice from this commenter. Let's read one more comment. You discovered you married a selfish monster, stayed married to her, and came here to complain that she's doing something selfish and monstrous. What were you expecting? Touché. That is a very good point. What was he expecting? She's a completely selfish person, and maybe she cannot be helped, but the situation is messy all around, just like these salted licorice bites. So let's give them an overall rating. These ones, I think a 2.5 is being very generous for these first ones. They are just so salty and you can't really get any of the flavor. And the texture, the consistency of them is so different between all of them. Some are more chewy, some stick to your teeth, some are hard. And these ones are the only ones that really have that black licorice flavor. These, let me just try one more bite. The texture is great. They're very soft. The salt does not punch you in the face, but I would like a little bit more black licorice flavor. So I would rate these a 6.5. I would never buy either one of these again, but if I came across them, I would probably take one of these Nordic sweets and give it a try again. So let me know if you've tried any salted licorice. Do you even like licorice? I know a lot of people don't. Let me know what you thought of today's stories, and I hope you'll join me for my next episode.